Welcome to week one of my covered call journey. I'll be documenting my attempt to earn about $40,000 over the next 5 years in a survivor's IRA using mainly covered call ETFs. This is my own personal journey, not yours. Do not take what I am doing as a financial recommendation or advice. I'm simply sharing what I am doing. You must make your own financial and investment decisions. Consider consulting a qualified financial advisor. Do your own financial research. Doing what a disembodied voice on YouTube is doing really isn't very wise. Now, some background. My wonderful mother passed away in 2020 in a nursing home while recovering from spinal surgery. She was born in 1939 and worked hard for her entire life, especially after being widowed at a young age. She inherited from her parents a deep appreciation of hard work and financial stability. She left my sister and I various inheritances, including survivors' IRAs worth about $92,000 each. Now, the old law said that you didn't have to withdraw from a survivor's IRA anytime soon, but under the Secure Act, now you do. Now, you have 10 years to take distributions and empty out the account. Gee, thanks, Congress. Heaven forbid that people are able to shelter their money in safer retirements. If you want to know why people hate the U.S. Congress, well, here's one reason. Seriously, why Congress? Are you afraid of people saving for the future? Apparently, you do. Anyway, I took about $50,000 out and paid taxes on those distributions, leaving about $41,000 and some change left, which really isn't enough. When I take the money out, I want to buy a nice car, something upper class. I've always lived simply and driven used or entry-level cars because my income level isn't high, vehicles like Saturns and Civics. Now, those are great cars, sure, but nothing luxurious. And I think Mom would like me to enjoy something upper scale for once, and I'll probably need to double my money to really afford something nice. I have 5 years to earn that money before I must take that final distribution and pay taxes on it. I also plan on retiring in about 5 years, so the timing works out. So, how to achieve that new car goal? Simple. Invest in high-yielding funds and stocks. Starting about January 1st, I began experimenting with covered call ETFs. And yes, I put most of the $41,000 into such funds, not the smartest thing in the world. I teach high school economics. I'm admittedly violating my own advice about diversification and preferring lower risk investments. However, never fear, this Survivor's IRA represents a small portion of my portfolio. I have well over $500,000 in 403Bs, mutual funds, savings bonds, and various brokerage accounts. There's also money in a trust that my sister and I inherited from Mom, which we have yet to liquidate. I will also collect a nice, definite pension from the state of California. And when I say nice and definite, I mean a defined benefit pension, which very few people have nowadays. Say what you want about the questionable pay being paid to public school teachers. Well, when you retire as a public school teacher in the state of California, the pension can be quite rewarding. I should receive roughly 80% of my final yearly pay when I retire, if I hit the numbers just right. In other words, while I'm not wealthy by any means, I'm doing all right and solidly middle class. So yes, I'm breaking my own rules, but I can probably afford to do so in this one case. I can probably afford to take a few risks, and this survivor's IRA was literally a surprise from out of the blue when I received it. Thank you, Mom. Now, what does this Fidelity portfolio look like? Well, there are 2 real estate investment trusts in there, some stocks, a CD, 1 preferred stock, and the covered call ETFs. Given that REITs are taxed at the holder's marginal rate if held in a non-tax sheltered account, holding them in an IRA where their earnings are sheltered to a degree and for a time seems smart. The same is true for interest-bearing securities. I like regular recurring income. That's the kind of investor that I am. I'm less concerned with the value of my investments fluctuating than I am with those investments being sound, stable income producers. While putting so much money in a covered call ETFs may be risky, income is the goal. Okay, so what's the strategy? All right, here goes. Looking at the account from the dividend view, you can see that I'm on track to earn $8,466.21. That's my estimated annual income. Now, that's obviously an artificial number. That represents what the Fidelity machine thinks that I'll be making. Doesn't mean that I will. That's just a projection. Obviously, interest rates fluctuate. The amount that the covered call ETFs will fluctuate every week. That's a projection. But that's what the machine thinks I'll get. And I'll go with it. My goal is to get that up to $9,000 by the end of the month. So I have about 7 months to get that done, maybe 6.5 months. That's the goal. We'll see if I can do that. As you can see, there's a CD that'll come due in October, and I'll just pick that money and put that back into the money market, which is FPRXX, a Fidelity government money market, and I'll put that back in there to keep that cash position growing as well. But we'll wait for October for that. So, how did I do? Pretty well, actually. You can see that on May 9th, I received a dividend of $43.09 from WiMAX, $7.10 from WiMAG, $25.70 from RDTE, $36.24 from QDTE, and $46.35 from XDTE. You'll also notice that I made a couple of purchases. My one share of Archer Daniels Midland for $47.59, and then I also bought $100 worth of WiMAX. Next week, I'll probably put my dividends into QDTE to keep that position growing, or into XDTE. But overall, a pretty doggone good week. Next week, I'll probably also buy one share of Archer Daniels Midland because its ex-dividend date is coming up quickly. And then after that, go back to buying VGLT to keep my treasury position growing. So overall, a pretty good week, and I'd like for this to continue. So anyway, that's about it. I'll be putting other videos up from time to time covering things like finance, precious metal stacking, the stock market, and so on. Again, I'm not an expert, just a guy trying to pass on what he's done over the years. Sometimes I've made money, sometimes I've lost money. As always, you need to see a qualified financial professional and do your own research. But thanks for tuning in. I hope this has proven helpful, and I hope you'll enjoy seeing how I do over the next 5 years. I really hope I can make a lot of money, but given how the market goes, one never knows. Take care. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.